people who have just eaten. You know why, Madam Chair? Because they would say yes to questions that you don't even ask, you know. So it's difficult to keep an audience saying yes to questions you don't even ask them, to keep them awake. That's why we started with literally the starters, the appetizers. But we will go to what the French call the plat de résistance, you know, the main course as we progress. So we don't want anyone to doze here. Are your mission glasses still on? You need to have them on. Then you will understand why we do policies and processes and protocols the way we do them. So, Madam Chair, I think the body is ready, and my sister Sherry is also ready. So we can go to this item of business. It is number 4 on your agenda list, but do not be bothered with your agenda list, because what you have on the screen is exactly what is there, and we want you to see everything. We're not hiding anything and sharing everything, because we want you to know how your church is run. Now, let's go to this. What are we doing here, Madam Chair? This amendment seeks to reflect that in an effort to be consistent with other world divisions, the Secretary of the North American Division will no longer be an Associate Secretary of the General Conference. I think this is self-explanatory. Until now, the Secretary of the North American Division, that's historical.
Yes.
And the Treasurer, the CFO of the North American Division, by virtue of their function, they are also an Associate Secretary of the General Conference and an Associate Treasurer of the General Conference, respectively. This recommendation seeks to bring consistency with other divisions, because secretaries and CFOs or treasurers of other 12 divisions are not associates of the GC. I have moved that one, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I do believe I hear support as we move forward with that item. Thank you. On to the next that will be clustered with it.
Correct. There's two. The first one that I just spoke about, and the next one will be lumped together. What are we seeking to do in the second amendment? The second, not the second amendment per se, in the second item to be amended. That's an important nuance, right? What are we doing here? Before, you can scroll down, we used to call them interdivision employees. You will hear them a lot when you serve in Secretariat, and that's a free plug. When tomorrow you will hear the Secretary's report, you will hear a lot about missionaries and ISCs. So we can go back to this item. No, we are. I am on 205. Item 205 in your agenda. So we are, when we deal with to recruit interdivision employees, you're ahead of me.
Yes, we are 204 and then 205 pertaining to General Conference under Treasurer and Associate Treasurers, Constitution and Bylaws Amendment. If we need to leave this one, we can, but I think you have it there.
It's the Treasury side of the Secretariat.
Yes.
With the North American. It's just a flip of that.
Okay, I just flipped it back. That's
here's a clean one.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Where is it here? Page. Excellent. So Sherry, you are following me, right? I will follow you. So we are indeed, okay, here we are. Thank you kindly. Here we are. So we have just talked about the Secretary of the North American Division. We have deleted that section on line 26 and 27. Now, what are we doing when it comes to the international service employees. What we have done, so somewhere in November 2015, we changed the nomenclature, the terminology from interdivision employees to international service employees. We now call them, instead of IDE, ISE. So this recommendation seeks to harmonize our working policy that already talks about ISE with our governing document, which is the Constitution and bylaws, so that both documents can allude to ISE. This is the second one that we have lumped together. I have moved this one, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And there is support. All right. We have actually the two items in one cluster before us. We have the motions and support. And now we have two waiting to speak. Is there more? All right. At, I believe, microphone number 6, Flaviano Delice, please forgive me if I'm giving the wrong inflection, from Southeastern California Conference in the North American Division. The time is yours. Do you have a question or comment on either one of the two items that we're on right now?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it's Dalisay.
Delisa, thank you. I appreciate it.
I would like to request clarification or further clarification into the rationale of these amendments. Number one, what does it mean in the effort to be consistent versus what would be conceived as equally fair or just? Number two, by replacing the name of interdivision employees with international service employees, it would seem that employees within the U.S. territory will also be considered international employees. Lastly, with the deletions of lines 26, 27, it would seem that we prefer to exclude the secretary of any division, not only the North American division, from the role and responsibilities of an associate secretary of the General Conference, and along with it, a sense of inclusiveness, shared goal, unity, and spiritual mentality of one purpose and direction.
Thank you very much. We're going to turn to Secretariat, particularly to Pastor 𝐒𝐿 to respond to you. There is a very good reason. I've actually participated in some of the discussions. As I said, that long trail leading up to these items have been carefully prepared and rigorously tested. So as Pastor 𝐒𝐿 prepares to respond, we are ready. Okay.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate your question, brother. When we talk about in an effort to be consistent, we are just explaining what it means. That is, the 12 other divisions do not have their secretary who serve as an associate secretary of the General Conference. Historically, this was done because I don't want to go into too granular details, but you know, we were in the same building, it was the same. So that is why they historically, traditionally were associates of the GC. But now, as I explained, and as it is written here, we want to be consistent with other divisions. That's my first answer to the first question.
So, Pastor Hensley, you are saying that this action actually does exactly what the speaker was requesting. It brings everyone on the equal level playing field because North American Division was outside the protocol structure in which all other divisions participated for those reasons that you mentioned. But now it brings everyone into line. That is what you're saying?
Indeed. Thank you for summarizing what I said so clearly.
All right. Okay, you were going to mention something else to the second portion of his question, comments, and then we will go to the next speaker.
Yes, the second question is, why are we removing interdivision and replacing with international service employees? We have some experts here, and if my sister Karen Porter would like to complement my response, she is free to do that. But if she decides not to do so, I will remain with my part of the answer. This is very technical as well. When someone serves from one division to another division, for example, I am from the SID, and I'm currently serving in the NAD. I am an interdivision employee. Is that clear? Now, this was causing some issues when, for example, in one continent you had 3 divisions and they were becoming like intra-division. So it was causing some confusion, and that is why the terminology, terminology international service employee, we believe, was clearer to differentiate between people serving who are serving intra-division in a division who are serving outside a division. So for us, the word international service employee is better to convey this idea. That's what the answer is, and I see my colleague giving a nod of approval to what I have just said.
Thank you very much. With that, then we're going to go to microphone number 2, Giselle. Lou, is it 𝐫𝐴?
Yes.
Right inflection? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to inquire, where can we refer or see the entire Constitution and bylaws so we can better appreciate these amendments in the light of the Constitution and bylaws in its entirety?
You want to see you want to see these items in context within the entire Constitution.
Correct. Thank you.
Pastor?
Yes, we have the Constitution and bylaws is part of the thick GC working policy. Because I don't want to carry it around all the time, I have made a little booklet for myself. So what we can do is to ascertain that the delegates of a GC...
Thank you, Tom.
I can promise you, I don't read this every day. That's not my Bible, okay? I read my Bible, my Sabbath school study guide, and then the working policy. And by the way, I'm not a policeman. I'm a policy man, not a policeman. And that nuance is very important. So my sister, when you open the first portions of the working policy book, the first lines, you have access to the Constitution and bylaws of the General Conference as they stand, excluding these amendments because they have not yet been voted. So what can we do?
Constitution and bylaws excluding the working policies.
Unfortunately, it exists at this stage, but maybe your thank you. Maybe your comment will bring us to a new era.
Okay.
Maybe we will have this document separately, the way I have done it for me, you know, and then we can share it with the delegates. Point
Excellent.
Well received and well taken.
Thank
I
you.
promise you, we will think about it. Thank you for that
Thank you.
suggestion.
One other question, which would align with this one. Can the delegates find the Constitution online anywhere at the GC website?
Yes, we don't distribute it to everybody, but if you need it, do you want us to try something? I don't know, because we want to be abundantly clear with you, yeah, right? We would not expect you to be voting on something that you don't understand. I don't know if my sister Tammy, I will test technology here. I will test technology here. If we, and this is live, so it was not, there is nothing that we had prepared. Tammy, is there a way for you to show to our esteemed delegates a place where they could access the working policy of the GC and including the Constitution and bylaws. Is there a way to do that? Sorry, I did not prepare you for that, but based on the question that we have received, thank you, we would like to share. Tammy?
The Constitution and bylaws is available on our Secretariat website, secretariat.adventist.org, and under resources, which I'm having trouble with my mouse here, sorry.
But I believe this does answer the question, and Sister Giselle has brought up an important point.
Here you go.
Okay?
So we can give the website again, secretariat.adventist.org. We go under the resources, you click there,
Okay.
and you can have access to the Constitution and bylaws, the working policy, everything that we have in this big black book here.
Everything of the Constitution that we have in that big black book, right? We don't publish the working policy. Okay. Thank you very much. We need to go to microphone number 7, David Trim, General Conference, ASTR.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to help Sister Giselle and my esteemed colleague Hensley, the Constitution and bylaws is also made available in the yearbook.
Yes.
So if anyone has access to the yearbook, they have just the Constitution and bylaws without all the working policy.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Trim. And let us now move to microphone number 5, Jonathan Fetrick, Wisconsin Conference in North American Division.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the issue of interdivision versus international. I believe that we should vote what is put before us because it clarifies some issues, but that in the future you might want to look at the issues created by international, as international implies a nation, and that creates a new set of issues.
Understood. Thank you very much, and we will certainly take that under advisement. Appreciate that. That's why we come together. Again, microphone number 5, Debbie Jackson, Central States Conference, North American Division. Are you running toward the microphone? Okay. That's number 6. Okay, number 5. Is Debbie Jackson still there?
I was sent to 6.
She's speaking from 6.
You're speaking from 6 now. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. The time is yours, at least 2 minutes of it.
Okay. I was just wondering if there's any concern calling them service employees, since that's what many of the union employees are called in the United States. And so many of the unions are SEIU, so that's employees, service of employees.
Okay. Pastor Maruvan, did you hear that clearly?
Yes,
Can you respond?
I have heard that. I have taken copious note of what our sister has said, and we will study this, and we will ensure that this terminology brings clarity instead of confusion. But
Yes.
Thank you. I have taken note of your comment, and we will follow up. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Jackson. We'll get back with you, or you'll be able to reach Pastor Maruvan at his office. All right. Are we ready to move forward? We are, I'm sorry?
205.
We're ready for item number 205. 205?
Yes, we
Thank you.
are.
Okay.
So what we have done about the secretary, we are doing the same for the treasurer. You can read the rationale. This amendment reflects that in an effort to be consistent with other divisions, the treasurer of the North American Division will no longer be an associate treasurer of the General Conference. And I gave this explanation before, and I think we are all together. And I have moved this, Madam Chair.
All right. Is there support? Thank you. We hear the second. Are there questions or comments? Actually, this item was clarified previously, so I believe we can just move right to the question. Brother Todd, let us have the voting device. Let's get the election buddy devices ready to go.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. We are getting ready to open it up here. Just give it a couple seconds, and it will appear on your screen. Madam Chair, it is open. People should have 3 minutes to vote now.
Okay, use your 3 minutes wisely. Start voting. The motion, 1, to amend the General Conference bylaws, Article 4, General Conference Undersecretary and Associate Secretaries as found in the session agenda with the explanation you've received. And 2, to amend the General Conference bylaws, Article 5, General Conference under Treasurer and Associate Treasurers is found in the session agenda. Okay, did we get off to a jump start here with many just falling right in?
We have, Madam Chair. There are 562 people who have voted so far, and 610 that are in the process of voting. So,
excellent.
874 now.
Excellent. Remember to submit. The submit button says submit, I believe. Isn't that what it says? And you must touch that, and it must be activated in order to send your vote on to be counted.
Madam Chair, we're up to just under 1,200.
Great. They're coming in. Let's do some, let's see, let's try to top that last one.
Ready?
Are we good? We have 1 minute, 30 seconds, a little more.
Well, Madam Chair, we're doing pretty good. We have about 1,374 who voted, but quite a few who are still trying.
Okay. Do you hear beautiful music beginning to move through the auditorium? We don't have solos from the vice presidents, but I think this is better. We're down to 1 minute. Please cast your votes. Submit the votes. Those online, be sure that you complete your processes as well.
Madam Chair, we've just crossed the 1,500 threshold.
Here we go. Excellent. We're at 40 seconds. "25 seconds. We're coming around the corner now, that last bend.
Well, Madam Chair, we're at 1,560, so hopefully we can at least get over 1,600 here in the next 15 seconds.
I think we can do that. You know, I mentioned I'm from Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky specifically, and this is the home of the Kentucky Derby, a famous race, literal race. Now, I don't bet, I never bet on the horses, but as a Kentucky girl, I love to see those ponies run. And when they turn that last corner, they just go all out. And that's what we're doing.
Madam Chair, I think we can probably close the vote. We're up to just over 1,600.
Excellent. Let us close it right here.
All right, Madam Chair, it's being closed and it'll display as soon as it can.
Okay. All right, we have 97.4%, that is 1,563 votes in favor of these items, with 41 no votes, constituting about 2.6%. So these carry as well. Thank you very much. Well, Brother Hensley, what is next?
Hey, we will continue. I see my colleagues from Church Manual are here behind me. You can see that we have left now the starters, right? We are coming to the plat de résistance. One day I was conducting a seminar, and someone was seated in the front, and same thing, presenting just after lunch, and the person was dozing just a little bit, dozing a little bit. So I asked the person, so what are you doing? You should wake up. And the person said, "Pastor, I am praying for you." And I remembered this verse that says, and I quoted back and I said, but remember what the Bible says, you should watch and pray. You should also be watching what is happening in front of you. So this is just to be sure that you are with me and that you are fully awake and that you understand what we are doing today in this Constitution and Bylaws amendment that we are bringing to the floor. We will try to bring another item. It will be item 206. Okay. Item 206 on your agenda. Constitution and Bylaws agenda.
These next items are taken individually, correct?
You are perfectly correct.
Okay.
These items will be taken individually. We have quite a few of them here. What are we seeking to do with the first item that I'm going to talk about? We are removing Christian Record Services from the list of General Conference sponsored entities, as now Christian Record Services is sponsored by the North American Division, and this change took place at spring meeting in 2016. So you can see there is a deletion that is recommended on line 36. Thank you very much. As you scroll down here, you can see that we are deleting Christian Record Services. I have moved this item, Madam Chair.
Right, is there support for this motion? We're sure that it will not die due to lack of support. Is there support? Thank you. We didn't hear it. No, we're good. All right. Are there questions or comments on this one? I see a few people moving, but I'm not sure if they're moving to the microphones. Give you a few seconds just to tell. It looks like someone is near a microphone, but perhaps that is a sidebar there, private committee. All right, seeing none. Let us go to election, buddy. Let us have the ballot. Oh, I see a hand over there, but we're seeing nothing on the screen. I'm sorry.
Which one are we on? Sorry.
206. Is that where we are? Item 206?
Yes.
Okay.
They are not individual.
I think what we're trying to decide is whether we should take these items individually or move back to the practice of clustering. But in the meantime, there is someone at microphone number 1, if I can see clearly here.
That's correct.
It even looks like someone I know, but I do not see anyone on the screen. Did you scan the badge?
He's got the badge.
I think I saw you do that.
Yeah, he's got the badge.
It's not the badge. Something's happening. Okay. We're trying to correct that. Is the microphone on? Yes, it is. Okay. Brother Rod, I don't know what's happening, but hold on a second. There we go. Well, I see. Okay. I was going to say the name did not match the face, but now we have two names. But the first person we saw standing there perhaps was someone who was waiting to speak before you came up. So shall we move to Johannes Bachmann, Berlin Central? Now everything has changed, and Reinhold Gallos is calling point of order. Is that on microphone 1? Northern Rhenish-Westphalian Conference in the EUD. Inter-European Division. What is your point of order, brother?
I would like to ask you to extend the election time, as we still see problems with the VLAN, and it turns out that after 2 or 3 minutes, some more people can elect. So it is just because it's everyone at the same time.
You're trying to get us to extend the voting
Yes.
Allocated time a little bit because we are bombarding the system, and then
Yes.
that slows everything down? I'm
Yes.
understanding you? We will give that some consideration here and see what we can do about that. If you notice, if you were really watching us, in several cases, we did extend the time without making it a voted item because we could tell there were still individuals in the queue trying to get their votes in.
Yeah.
So we are watching. If that will work for you, if you see further need, you come right back.
I saw this and I recognized it, and that's good, but I even see some people that get into the vote button already short before the 3 minutes are running out. Thank
we'll
you.
give it a little try. Thank you very much. Okay, coming back to Brother Johannes Bachmann, Berlin Central German Conference, Inter-European Division. I believe you have a question or comment on item number 206.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
To the Constitution, yes.
A comment, a question, and possibly a motion concerning page 2, lines 3 and 4, the definition of what a frontline denominational employee is. Now, I welcome very much the effort to clarify who frontline employees are, and so I welcome the inclusion of more than one example of what this could be. However, I believe that the wording that is suggested here excludes some people from eligibility as elected members of the committee that would otherwise be included, and that is by including the word full-time denominational employee.
I see.
I see that we have part-time pastors, at least in our field. I believe there may be part-time other employees, and I would like to see them included in their eligibility for serving on this committee if the union and the division and the individual concerned so decide. So I move to amend this to strike the words full-time and the preceding comma. Thank you.
Okay, so you have come with a motion to amend, and of course it does need a second to go forward. Okay, Brother Bachmann, we conferred to determine. I thought I was confused, but in conferring with my colleagues here, it appears that you're ahead of the process here. We have not gotten to the section that you are addressing. And as we know, we're not going to compose or revise on the floor, but we want to allow appropriate time for individual concerns to be heard, but we will handle those in the proper manner, but also in the proper sequence. So perhaps it is best right now that we just take note of your question and comment, and if there is further need to address that on the floor this afternoon, we can do so in an appropriate manner, of course. If need be, we can refer items back for revision. But then, of course, we would have to go through the full process for that. But for right now, we take under consideration what you have placed before us, although it was out of turn. So we will not do anything on this at the time. Thank you. Now we still stay there at microphone number 1, Rodney Brady, North-South Wales Conference in the South Pacific Division.
Mine may be out of order. I just need clarification. The way that it's worded in our book is it's one action covering this whole section. Are we just voting on paragraphs now? Because mine's related to later on. Just that the wording that is here is different to what the motion was, that we understand may be the case.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying, Brother Rodney. Did you get that? Okay. Can you respond?
I received that from Brother Rodney. This is highly technical, Brother Rodney, because what was in the motion is it mirrors the section which is in the Constitution. But what we have voted is in line with what I had presented. But it is true, Rodney, in the motion, it covers the whole section in the Constitution where this section is coming from. And it is always a challenge, Madam Chair, because if we were to give you the whole document and the whole context, it would be a very bulky document. That's why we bring to you, when you see in one line no changes, it means that the whole section has not been changed, but only portion of it. So this could have been the confusion from my brother Rodney. Thank you.
And perhaps there's another way to understand the question. Brother Rodney has left the microphone, but Karen, can you help us? Did you hear something different on this?
No.
On the microphone? No.
No.
Perhaps not? Okay.
We're
willing to hear if we misunderstood you, Rodney.
What I thought I understood was that there is one agenda item with 3 parts. And
the way it's structured in the book.
Each part separately.
Yeah.
I think that was the confusion.
Oh, okay.
For this whole
Microphone 1, please.
Yeah. The way that it's worded that we look like we're voting on has got the whole section in there, the whole clause, whereas now it looks like we're actually dividing it up into those sections. So what?
Yes.
And all it had was he was moving. It wasn't clear what he was moving.
Okay. We even had just a little chat about that as well. We were trying to decide if this was to be clustered or individual. So we will follow your lead. Thank you for that, Brother Rodney. In the meantime, microphone number 7, Tim Standish, Dr. Standish from General Conference, that is Geoscience.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Thank you.
I think I see you there. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was also wanting to comment on that item that I think is being put off at the moment, but getting back to the issue of Adventist Review and Adventist World, my question is, what if at some point it was decided that these 2 publications would have different editors? Would we then have to come back to a General Conference session to split them apart? It seems to me that if we just left this alone, it's fine for one person to be editor of both, but if we cluster them together, then we've sort of restricted our options unnecessarily, and that was my comment.
And we'll let Secretariat respond to that. But before you leave the microphone, would you like to do a commercial to show us your creation T-shirt?
Sure, yes. I am proudly a promoter of Creation Sabbath.
Yes.
And this is the Creation Sabbath shirt from last year. So, yeah.
Thank you.
you.
Secretariat will respond.
Thank you very much, Brother Tim. I can try to understand where the confusion could be coming from. On the first page, you have 4 rationales because we were dealing with 4 sections that need to be amended. I am still on the first one, where I was reading about Christian record services, so rationale 1, for first change. Then I would take you to rationale 2, clarifies that the position of the editor for Adventist Review and Adventist World is the same person. I would have explained it. Then I would have taken you to number 3, which would be the definition of frontline employee, and I would have explained it. And number 4, I would have done the same. I am still at rationale number 1, and we are still dealing with Christian record services. If it pleases the chair, now I can move to the second one, which is the second rationale, which now explains Adventist Review and Adventist World.
But before you do, we have, now this is saying number 101. Is this someone online? Would that be the reason? There we go. On somewhere it says Zoom. Okay? Yusuf Zegi, English Zoom. If I read, I see it. English Zoom, Southeast Tanzania Conference in the ECD. Okay, my brother, you may speak to us. I think you are muted. We cannot hear you. Okay, try again. You have your own tech support right there with you, we see. Oh, there are two of them. The things we learn about Zoom, huh?
Yeah, now.
Perhaps, yes, hold on just 1 second. We're going to turn to the parliamentarian who is also a technical expert on these things.
Madam Chair, I think the gentleman may have some other people in the room that have a Zoom going as well and is getting feedback. So you need to make sure that you have no one else in the room with this streaming on.
Right.
So the audio people will turn you back up once that can be accomplished. So make sure there is no other device playing this session in that same room. We saw your two friends there, so that's why you were turned off, because it was getting feedback.
I'm sure they're delegates or duly appointed tech services professionals. Okay, you ready to try it again? Brother Yusuf Zaghi?
Okay, my comment also is in the same of the frontline sentence. It has the word ETC. I just suggest that this word should be removed to avoid confusions and also to avoid rooms that people can play to add more of groups that are not intended according to the definition of the frontline that has been moved forward.
Thank you very much. Our Undersecretary has taken note of that and can respond before we go to the next speaker.
I have taken note of this, and this will be dealt with when I present the third rationale that will take us to the frontline employee.
Yes.
I have taken note of it.
Yes, all right, thank you. And also English Zoom. Sorry. Also in English Zoom, number 101, Jackson Mukali, East Central Africa Division. We see you are calling point of order. Please describe for us what that is.
Yes,
we can see you, but we cannot hear you.
Can you mute?
We can hear you now. Do you have your tech services people there with you as well? Okay. Okay, please give us your point of order.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
We can hear you, yes.
Yeah, I'm proposing that we take one item.
Oh, I think you have multiple devices there turned on, logged in as well.
Just give us a second. Okay. I think that's much better, I think. It's important that we take one item at a time because they are mutually exclusive. Thank you.
Well, I will not deem that a point of order, but rather a request for clarification on the process. Perhaps Pastor 𝐸𝐸𝐻 will explain again. Some of these items are related. There's interrelatedness within the documents, and he's trying to touch on the items as he goes through. And that is why we're taking time for clarification. Okay, now we have Tim Standish on microphone number 7 again. No commercial this time, just your question or comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am confused, but my comment has to do with this frontline business on page 42.
Are we on 42 yet, Hensley? Okay.
Okay, we can go then.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Hensley, are you on page 42 yet?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
And
you're
we
dealing
can
with
go-
pages 41 and 42?
Yeah, we can go to what we are all discussing now about
Let us do
frontline
this.
employee.
Let us allow what we were doing before. Let us allow you to go through the several related items, and then we will come back to questions and comments. And I think the same will be true for Brother Youssef, who is back in the queue. Let us hold these until you go through the section. Perhaps they will see the connections. And if not, we are more than willing to adjust and to explain.
Very good. So we have touched on number 1, we have touched on number 2, and now let's go to number 3. What are we doing here? We are defining the term frontline employee. Why did we have to do that? Especially when we are working on the composition of the GC Executive Committee, we needed to clarify that. We needed to define that. And you know, once you define something and you start giving an exhaustive list, you have this challenge of, will you be all-inclusive? Will you leave out one of these? So I went to the dictionary and I looked for the definition of frontline. You know what you read there? Those who are closest to the enemy. That's the definition of frontline. Those who are closest to the enemy. So this is what we are bringing to you, because this definition is needed for us to ensure that we know exactly who are those who will serve in this capacity of being front line.
Okay, continue to bring all of those items together, and then if need be, we will go back to some of the speakers if you do not clarify in the process.
Very good. So let me go. Maybe I should read that first, right? For
Okay.
number 3. So frontline, we are including, you can read it here on line 3. Frontline, full-time denominational employees such as Bible worker, healthcare professional, literature evangelist, teacher, etc. So we are including these lines on this section just to be sure that we have clearly explained who a frontline denomination employee is. Good? Let's go to number 4.
Okay.
This will conclude this part on the agenda. What is number 4 all about? Our Office of General Counsel, these are our lawyers, have expressed a need to be protected, to be safe, that we add in our governing document this section on the minutes. So I will read to you this new section. It reads, can we scroll down, please? Excellent. I'm reading from lines 14 through 18. Section 2. When it is underlined, it means it's a new section. And then we will go back to items 1, 2, 3, and 4, because I see some people who are there, and we will address these items one by one. We promise you.
Yes.
The new section will read, minutes of the General Conference Executive Committee, including those of annual council and spring meeting, shall be approved during a meeting of the General Conference Administrative Committee after such minutes have been distributed to the Executive Committee members at least 1 week prior to the meeting of the General Conference Administrative Committee. What I will do now, I will move this whole section, which I'm doing just now. I have moved it.
All right, and there is support for the motion. All right, now we go back, and if there are questions or comments, we will take those, just moving through methodically. And so we go back to microphone number 7, to Tim Standish, followed by Rodney Brady on microphone number 1. Okay,
Thank
Dr.
you, Madam
Standish.
Chair. Thank
Yes.
you. My concern about item number 3, the one relating to frontline workers, is that this has the effect of violating the intent of total member involvement. The effect of this particular policy is that it dilutes the representation of lay people, and I would hope that if we're going to make changes here, we look at how lay people can be involved in the governance of the church, rather than adding more church employees that maybe drown out that signal from our lay people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Standish.
Thank you.
We're going to microphone number 1, Rodney Brady.
I want to speak to section 2, but Hensley, can I just make a question on that line 3 front line? Can I just ask you to think about whether the comma really should be there after front line? That might be what's causing the problem, because it makes full-time employees look like a category in its own, which could be anybody. Just think about it, because it never had it before. But the way, and you might need a grammar person just to look at it, because I think it may be changing the nuance unintentionally by putting that comma there.
Thank you very much.
We will study
Good observation.
We will study the comma.
Yes.
Okay.
We, as people of the word, of the book, believe in studying the comma,
yeah,
right?
we know what problems commas can cause when they're in the wrong spot. I want to speak to section 2, and I think it's right that we do need to approve our minutes promptly. Sometimes we don't do them as quick as what we should. I am questioning whether this should be in our constitution. I'm actually speaking against it going in there. The way that committees are responsible for themselves to approve their minutes and the process for approving the minutes. And it is in order for the executive committee, if it wants ADCOM to approve the minutes, that could be done by way of a terms of reference, and ADCOM can approve it on its behalf. Putting it in this way here is actually quite a substantial shift, because you're taking away from the executive committee the authority to approve or amend minutes if there's even a disagreement with what ADCOM had allowed through as a final motion with no recourse. We say that they are being distributed a week before, but we don't say if there's a disagreement with what the final version that was voted by ADCOM to sign off on, because what we're doing is we're saying ADCOM becomes the final determinant of the approval of the minutes and not the executive committee. And that is a shift, and there's no resolution to that. So in that there's that nuance of the shift and the approval, I would be suggesting that this remain as a terms of reference within it, and this is not a constitutional thing, because we're actually taking away authority from the executive committee to be responsible for its final action. So I'd like to speak against that.
Okay, thank you, Brother
you.
Brady. And we'll have an observation from OGC. Our parliamentarian is shifting just a little bit and perhaps can comment.
Indeed, when this was introduced, I explained to you that this was a recommendation from our OGC, because unlike what Brother Rodney is suggesting, this is to protect and to keep us safe. So because this came from OGC, I will invite our parliamentarian to expand on this, please.
Thank you. I'm speaking from here because this is not in my role as parliamentarian. I please ask the body's indulgence. Normally, parliamentarians shouldn't weigh in on items, but I'm also wear the hat of Office of General Counsel. Unfortunately, the other OGC members who would address this are with nominating committee helping get them started. The rationale behind this is that currently the executive committee minutes are not approved at all, right? Annual council meets once a year, spring meeting once a year. While there are a handful of executive committee meetings in the interim, they're for limited items. So the idea here was to empower a minutes committee, which is a very standard approach in parliamentary procedure. Remember, everyone on ADCOM is a member of the General Conference Executive Committee, I believe, and Tammy can shake, she's shaking, telling me yes. So if there was a concern or whatever, the idea would be that executive committee members would raise that with ADCOM. The executive committee would still retain its authority to decide things. So if someone disagreed with it, they could always put that on the agenda for next year's annual council. And of course, if there was a misunderstanding, the executive committee could say, no, you were wrong, and clarify that. But this is to empower them, and it was felt that it needed to be in the Constitution and bylaws to give them that power to do the minutes as opposed to just being a terms of reference. So that was the rationale, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now we have, I believe Rodney Brady is complete on number 1, but also on microphone number 1, 𝐿𝐷 North Norway Conference in the Trans-European Division. Okay, please.
Yes, thank you. Now the previous speaker raised the same issue that I wanted to raise, and though you have already answered this, I think this is still important, and I think we should have changed the wording. And I wanted to make a motion how we can change maybe from distributed to somehow include, also being approved by these members of the executive committee.
Okay, Sister 𝐿𝐷, we will receive from you your suggestions or recommendations that can be taken back into Secretariat, perhaps even reviewed in steering committee if we wanted to turn it around quickly and bring it back perhaps tomorrow. But at this point, we will not be composing on the floor. I do want to remind everyone that all of these documents are really living documents, and sometimes the concerns that come up on the floor of the GC session have always been there or have never been there, but suddenly when we're here together and looking at these, something looks different or maybe is nuanced a little differently. And so actually many of the changes that you see come here have have had their birth at a session with someone making a suggestion or recommendation. Those are taken back and studied, tested with other documents and so forth, and then they make their way back through the system. But if you would get your thoughts, your ideas to Secretariat, perhaps that would be the best way to address that today. Thank you very much. Okay, microphone number 8, Paul Ananaba. Lagos Mainland Conference in the West Central Africa Division.
Yes, Madam Chair.
And please, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I see someone at microphone number 2. I just want you to know that you've been standing there a while, but your registry has not shown up on the screen, so we may want to double check that. Going back to Brother Paul, WAD.
Madam Chair, 2 suggestions on the issue of frontline, the word frontline. I suggest that that word should be deleted. When you delete it, the paragraph will become consistent on itself. If you retain the word frontline, you will have to create an interpretation subsection, and that will create more challenge for that section. So I recommend that the word frontline should be deleted. Once you delete it, most of the controversies will be gone. Again, when on the section on minutes, I do not think it should be part of the policy document of the church as such. It should be an administrative thing that the executive committee should deal with. I then suggest that that section, that paragraph should be deleted entirely. We can't be debating and putting a provision on minutes in the working policy of the church. Minutes, the executive committee should be able to regulate itself in terms of its minutes. I'm saying that because the delegates seated here do not attend the meetings of the General Conference Executive Committee. How would they make laws or rules that will guide the Executive Committee? Thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right. Pastor, if you want to comment on that one?
We have taken note of
okay, you've taken note of that,
yes,
along with others. So I do see number 2 on there now, but first we're going to Spanish Zoom number 103, Armando Mariega, Caribbean Colombian Conference Inter-American Division. Yes, we see you. Please unmute if you have not, and you may speak. Your time is now.
Sí, buenas tardes, mis apreciados. Bueno, todas las aclaraciones que se han hecho sobre algunos puntos que hemos votado, está claro, pero bueno, lo que pasa es que tenía en mente...
Brother, may I stop you for 1 second? It's not your problem. I want to be sure that the translators are prepared. Okay, I saw someone, but I heard something behind me. Please continue.
Sí, un punto sobre
I can translate. Si puede hablar un poquito más lento para que le pueda traducir, por favor. Gracias.
Okay. Esta expresión allí, en línea de enfrente,
Talking
no sé
about the frontline statement.
si la veo como de guerra, de batalla, algo así.
It feels like war.
Sí, entonces, sí, también estaría sugiriendo que no sé si la podemos cambiar. Y lo otro
Thinking if
es
we can change that. And another point is
una pregunta sobre ese ministerio de servicio que
question
estaría
about this ministry of service.
la asociación norteamericana. ¿Me podrían hacer claridad sobre ese punto allí?
I would like for the North American, la división norteamericana dijo.
Sí, exactamente.
The North American division, if the North American division can clarify this point.
Correcto, sobre ese ministerio de servicio y qué repercusiones tiene eso que ya no lo patrocina.
Of this ministry, which I think he's referring to the one that was eliminated. I forgot this moment which one it was.
Christian Records.
Christian Records. And if it can be clarified, why was that ministry taken out from the umbrella, from the General Conference?
Sí, que ya no lo patrocina la Asociación General, sino que lo estaría auspiciando la norteamericana.
Which now the General Conference would not be supporting it, but our North American division.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, my brother. De nada. The response will not come from North American Division, of course, but rather from Secretariat, if you can say a word on that. I think it's just, there's some, apparently some legal issues as well, but we're having our parliamentarian change hats again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason for that was because Christian Record Services primarily services the North American division. There were also some financial components there, and restructuring was done at the same time. But there was a reevaluation of this ministry and what it served and where it most best could relate. Remember, when all of these ministries were originally created, there was no North American division. Everything was in the General Conference by default. And so the leadership felt that's not to minimize in any way the work of CRS, but it was felt that it best belonged there because of what it primarily serves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Todd. Is there anything else to add to that one? Shall we go to the next speaker? Okay, on microphone number 1, Nicholas Rantanen, Finland Union of Churches Conference, Trans-European Division.
Madam Chair, I have a question regarding the term full-time.
Full-time.
Yes.
Okay, you'd like a definition to clarify the meaning.
Yeah, is there a written definition somewhere in the Constitution and bylaws? Because in different legislations, full-time work might mean more than 50% or 80% or 100%. So unless it's defined, it's quite unclear what it means.
Thank you. Understood.
Yes, and I believe a previous speaker made the same comment, and we have taken note here. We will restudy the inclusion of the word full-time. We had taken note previously of that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now we can go to microphone number 2, and I believe Norbert Zins has just gotten tired. You made it through. There is something in the system that has targeted you and has pushed your name down. And so we think we can get you up there now. Norbert Zins, Inter-European Division.
Perfectly fine, Madam Chair. I want to come back to this issue of our approval of the minutes. I appreciate the comments of the OGC regarding that there should be something that the Executive Committee minutes should be approved. But I believe from a governance perspective that the minutes should be approved by the committee itself, by the Executive Committee. Actually, the Executive Committee is meeting almost every 2 months, at least every 3 months, so it would be no problem for the Executive Committee to approve their own minutes.
Okay, we have taken note of this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
And thank you for your patience as well. All right, we're going to microphone number 5, Mandla Sebantwini Lupandwana, Southern Africa Union Conference in the Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division. SID.
Thank you, Chair.
Microphone 5. I
Thank
see
you,
you.
Chair.
Yes.
I appreciate first on the section B on elected members, the fact that we have given examples of people who are frontline or whatever word we use that could be elected because it broadens the categories. We usually run the risk or fall into the temptation of simply electing pastors who are frontline, or sometimes simply elect educators. But I think coming up with a list of other categories that could be elected is good. And I would support retaining ETC because in different parts of the world, they may have other types of workers who are not on the list. And I wouldn't want us to think that the list was intended to be exhaustive. So I would support retaining ETC and coming up with the examples. On section 2, I also would like to speak against the inclusion of that entire section. It's more of an operational thing. I understand the concern of the Office of the General Counsel. However, I think that now that we have moved into the space of electronic meetings, that the General Conference Executive Committee can find a way of approving its own minutes electronically without having to wait for the next spring council or annual council. I don't think it should be in the constitution and bylaws because that way it locks it in and takes away from the executive committee the prerogative to decide how their own minutes can be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And now on English Zoom, number 101, Nuruddin Agba-Bialka, Ando Mission, West Central Africa Division. And we have 3 other speakers on this. We will take no more on this at the moment. I believe we're going to have to make a ruling and decide what we're going to do. All right. Nuruddin? Yes?
Thank you for recognizing me.
Oh, we could hear you at first, but now we cannot. Perhaps you went on mute. Sometimes that happens. Try again, please. I think we've lost you altogether. Maybe you can get back in the queue. We will come back to you if we can do so. Going to microphone number 2. Paul Bagyan, Southern Asia Division. Microphone number 2. I don't see you standing there.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just a commendation and a clarification. I want to thank you for explaining to us what frontline workers are really, because I remember our leaders not clear on this, and it was often referred to as exclusive to pastoral workers. Now we know it's not. I just wanted clarity on teacher, the word teacher used there. Is it a reference to only Bible teachers, or could it be inclusive of any institutional teacher? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. They've taken note. That will be included. And we almost saw Brother Nuruddin at the top, but he's not coming back on. I think there's some technical difficulties.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. It's on the front line denominational employee that has now been spelled out as frontline full-time workers with examples. I agree with a delegate who suggested that that word frontline may be removed if it's causing so much debates. But I think the point that the document is trying to make is that that position is for denominational employees. That should not be overlooked. That is what is being explained. And so maybe it could have read denominational employees such as then all these debates might not arise. That is one. For those who want the laity to be included, I think it is divine or led by the Spirit to suggest that it should be denominational employees, because they are more responsible to the mission and the organization of the church, and will not for any reason want to rock the boat, because they understand the mission better. They have no other thing they are doing than the work of the church. For laity, they have other things they do that might not give them enough time for the mission of the church. Laity are wonderful people. They are trying their best in their own way, but still, it is better to leave it at denominational employees who are full-time workers, 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Just as your time ran out, okay? You've taken note of that. Then we go to English Zoom again. Number 101, 𝐿𝐿 Williams, Guyana Conference, Inter-American Division. May we hear from you, sister?
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My comment is related to the Christian Record Services. It is my understanding that Christian Record Services serve persons who are blind and empower them so that, they're not excluded from the reach of the gospel, whether receiving it or sharing it. The explanation given from the floor by the parliamentarian as it relates to removing it or placing it on the North American division indicated that the services would be best suited from that division. So my question or clarification is whether this now excludes the other divisions who have persons who are blind from being able to benefit from the materials or the programs that were previously provided by Christian Record Services, and what would be available for them there in reaching their persons who are blind.
Thank you, Sister 𝐿𝐿. And we will have our parliamentarian change hats again and speak to us from the Office of General Counsel.
Just before my colleague, please come.
Yes.
Just before he speaks, I can tell you that this is not what it means.
Yes.
When I was the Sabbath School Personal Ministries Director of the SID, we were intentional in ensuring that people, even from our division, could get materials from the Christian Record Services. So this is not the intention of the policy of this amendment to have Christian Record Services serving only the North American division. It's an organization sponsored by the North American division. But that's not the intention. Thank you. My friend can complement.
I would reiterate, and I apologize, I should have been clear. I know Diana Thurber is director, and I hope I'm doing her justice in her organization. Christian Record Services serves the world, and it will provide its material around the world. However, as a practical administrative matter, its work is primarily based in North America, and that's why it's being sponsored. I would also point out that's already been done. It's been a North American division sponsored organization for a number of times. This is simply catching the bylaws up. And so this isn't really a debate on whether it should be in the GCC or the NAD. It's simply reflecting the change that's been made. And therefore, since it's no longer sponsored by the General Conference, then it should not receive the representation as a GC institution. So the question here is not whether or not it's a General Conference sponsored in North American. That's already been decided. The question really is, do you want your bylaws on representation to reflect the reality that is there? So I hope that answers the question, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Now, the chair had actually called an end to the discussion or the debate on this one, but there's no way we're going to close that without allowing the leader of the entity to speak. So we have Diane Thurber from North American Division, and then we will go back to the SID, Boyce Mkhize. Okay, Diane Thurber on microphone number 5.
Good afternoon. Yes, Christian Record Services is a North American division ministry. However, we are so pleased to be able to collaborate and coordinate with the General Conference Adventist Possibility Ministries. And through that collaboration, we're able to offer services to the other divisions of the World Church. They're contracted services. Some services are available without cost. For instance, our online proprietary library. So I just invite anyone in any of the divisions to contact your Adventist Possibility Ministries coordinator to learn about the services available from Christian Record, and also visit our virtual booth at the General Conference session. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification and that assurance. All right, now we go to microphone number 5 again. Boyce Mkhize, Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
And feel free to correct me if I have just slaughtered your name.
It's Mkhize.
Mkhize.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. 2 reasons that militate against the earlier submission on the administrative committee taking care of the minutes of the executive committee, and I would like to urge a reconsideration to that. Reason number 1, quickly, article number 9 of the, actually it's article number 8 of the bylaws, General Conference, section 1. During intervals between sessions of the General Conference Executive Committee is delegated the authority to act on behalf of the General Conference in session. I'm going to jump and go to the last line. The authority, therefore, of the General Conference Executive Committee is the authority of the World Church. And what that means is that that authority can never be delegated, because principle number 2, in law, a body that has been vested with a delegated authority cannot further delegate that authority. And for that reason, and for those 2 reasons rather, the proposition around the body other than the General Conference Executive Committee taking care of a matter as serious as the determination and confirmation of the minutes is something that would be at odds with the very bylaws that we are seeking to uphold. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Or Ms. Chairman.
You slaughtered mine as well, right? Thank you very much. No problem. We work together. Well, with this, the chair would turn to Secretariat and and respectfully ask that you will take these items back with all of the comments. It has been noted that notes have been taken from each speaker, and Secretariat serves the church, serves the members, and is always open to hearing different perspectives and understanding in terms of what we're putting forth for World Church. We want it to be appropriately structured for the entire World Church. And so with this, Brother Hensley, would you take these items back? And we will wait to find if you can find a way to do something quickly. If not, these would have to be recycled back into the system for another complete cycle, which would be, in this case, 3 years instead of 5.
Yes,
okay.
It's a little less than 5, right?
Yeah, yes.
But Madam Chair, no, we have another plan.
Okay.
We are very happy for all that we have heard, and you rightly said we want this document to serve the mission of the church, and if it needs to be clarified, I have taken, the recording secretary has taken copious notes of what you are doing. This is what we will do. On Wednesday, whilst you will be having supper, the Constitution and Bylaws Committee will meet.
Excellent.
And we will study all the comments that you have made. You can see the notes here on the front line, on the inclusion of the new section 2 about the minutes, and we will bring to you a recommendation on the following day. So thank you very much. We will not vote it today.
That's right.
We're bringing it to our Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
And thank you, everyone, for your comments and your wisdom and guidance and questions on these items. Now, Mr. Undersecretary, are there any other items for Constitution and Bylaws for this evening?
I suggest that my brother Jason and together with the chair of the Church Manual Committee, that they come here and enjoy this podium as well.
I understand what you're saying there, and your generosity is overwhelming.
Thank you for your kind words. So this will be the end.
Okay.
We have more items. We will come back to you, I think, sometime tomorrow. We will see how the schedule allows for it. But thank you very much. We have taken note of everything, and we will see some more Constitution and Bylaws item. But remember to always wear your mission lenses when you read these documents.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your work is very much appreciated, and it looks like we turn to Church Manual. Ah, yes. Thank you. Excellent for your work. Okay. Pastor Gerson Santos and Pastor Billy Biaggi. I see who comes first. Okay.
No, they gave me.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me tell you this, I'm so excited to be here. And I need to explain why. Not just because finally we are having general conference session.
Yes, that's one.
After waiting for so long, right?
Yes.
But also for this time that we'll be discussing these important items from the Church Manual.
Yes.
We have some slides that you can see on the screen to illustrate, to make it a little bit simpler, the recommendations from the Church Manual Committee. And I'm thankful because I have here Pastor Biaggi with me, and he is here to give us some moral support, and more than that, if it's necessary. And the items that we'll be presenting, starting today, I don't think we're going to finish today because there are 37 items. And we're going to
We're not trying to exhaust. We are just trying to do high-quality work this afternoon.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons we decided to have each one of those items voted separately.
Okay.
So we give time for them to appreciate and vote. However, 37 items would take 3 hours just for the voting part at least.
That's true. That's
so
true.
we need to be conscious of that.
Yes.
So some of the items were organized in different areas. As you can see on the screen, we separate in different areas. The first one is church service and meetings. The second is pastors and elders. And I'm very happy to share this with you because as a pastor, evangelist, church planter, leader from this church, I mean, I'm so excited to see some of these items as we present to you. You will see the importance that this will have in the local church, because that's what really ministry happens, right? At the local church, where our brothers and sisters are working, witnessing, and visiting the community and serving the community, invite people to join the church and become followers of Jesus. So you will see on these recommendations that each one of them has the purpose of highlighting the importance and effectiveness of the local church ministry. So let's start with the agenda. You have here listed by numbers starting on 401. And you have the whole list on pages 20 to 22. And you see there are numbers. 401 is the first one, but the actual item has a number of 400. Why is that? Because they are coming, it was very well explained by Elder Moruven, as the policy reviews are made to the church as we meet an executive committee at the General Conference, the same thing with the Church Manual recommendations. They come from a Church Manual committee. They are presented to the Annual Council at the end of the year, our last executive committee of the General Conference. And if they are voted, then they are brought to this body to be appreciated and accepted or rejected. So the numbers you see on the screen, 400-22GS, these are the numbers that gives us the history, where the action came from. But in your agenda is the item 401. Let's see the first one. The title is Unauthorized Speakers. This is a church manual amendment. In the church manual, and I have mine with me, I don't think you brought yours, but maybe you have an electronic format with you that many people use today. And I have mine is totally, underlined and highlighted, and even I have some little papers here marking the pages that I need to be conscious about. The church manual, pages 120 to 121, and if you want to follow in your agenda, it is on the page 53. So I'll be opening now page 53 on my agenda book. Okay, we are deleting one paragraph and revising the whole paragraph. As you can see on the screen, this is the recommendation from the Church Manual Committee, unauthorized speakers. And the rationale behind this recommendation is that this item will clarify who may be invited to speak in the church and addresses the confusion caused by the implication that a lay person could not preach because they do not hold credentials. Because usually, we use credentials for denominational worker. And this brought a little bit of confusion, so we are editing the whole paragraph as this. Authorized speakers. Only speakers worthy of confidence will be invited to the pulpit by the local church pastor, in harmony with guidelines given by the conference. The local elders or church board may also invite speakers in consultation with the pastor and in harmony with conference guidelines. Individuals who are no longer members or who are under discipline should not be given access to the pulpit. Madam Chair, I move we accept this recommendation.
All right, that's clear. We have the motion and we have a second. Is there a question or comment on this item? Seeing none, we're going to move right to the question. And we do see one. Someone is walking to microphone number 3. And I do see Christopher Holland from General Conference on number 5. Please, Christopher Holland, number 5.
Madam Chair, I am slightly concerned about this. Pastors are hired with confidence to decide who is speaking from their pulpit. And the phrase authorized by the conference, while I certainly understand the concern that may exist over some speakers, this seems to withdraw confidence, or at the very least, display distrust in the pastor or the local church.
Mm-hmm.
I would urge this to be reconsidered by the committee.
And are you speaking specifically to the use of the term authorized?
I am.
Okay.
Authorized by the conference.
Authorized by the conference, all right. All right, and we have number 7, microphone number 7, Tim Standish, General Conference.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My concern with this is that while it requires church boards to work with their pastor in terms of who preaches in the church, it does not require the pastor to work with the church board. It makes him only accountable, apparently, to the conference. But there must be some accountability of pastors to the local congregation that they serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is clear. Back to microphone number 5, Mandla Sebantwini, Lupandwana, Southern Africa Union Conference in the SID. Microphone number 5? Okay.
My question is in the use of the word consultation. Consultation can sometimes be applied in this way. I told him that we are calling someone to come and preach. He may or may not have objected, it's fine, but we consulted him. It does not always require consent. My question to the committee would be, in the phrasing of the paragraph, were we looking for mere consultation, or were we hoping that it would lead to consent? I'm thinking of a situation where there is a disagreement between the local elders or the local church board and the pastor on the person being invited. Consultation would allow the elders or the church board to proceed because they have consulted. But if we were hoping that consultation also includes consent, then when there's a disagreement, that they would not proceed with that particular speaker. And if the idea was to include consent, I would suggest probably relooking the word consultation and finding one that would include the concept of consent. Thank you, Chair.
Excellent, that's clear. Before you leave the microphone, please say your very melodic, beautiful name for me.
Mandla Sebantwini.
I was close. Okay, yes. All right, thank you. I like it. All right, and now the last speaker on this item is at microphone number 3, 𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐴, South Philippine Union Conference in the Southern Asia Pacific Division. And obviously not the last, because we have another who just joined. All right.
Thank you. By the way, I just would like to point out, in the list provided as those who should not be invited, limited only to those who are no longer members and are under discipline. Based on our experience, there was a time when there was a pastor, a retired pastor actually, whose membership is from another conference, and he was already residing in our place. But because of his membership with a pyramiding scheme of which the church spoke adversely, this pastor was already antagonistic to the church, antagonistic to the leadership of the mission and of the union. But just the same, some churches still invite him, especially those who are sympathetic with that pyramiding scheme of which that pastor was a member. I would suggest that I think we should not limit only the disqualifications from speaking in our pulpit to those who are not members or those who are under discipline, but we should include even those who are not loyal to the church. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then we go to the English Zoom, number 101 again. Brother Yusuf Zege, Southeast Tanzania Conference, East Central Africa Division.
Yes, I have the comment on the phrase. The word confidence is not defined well. How a person will define and measure the confidence of a person to stand before the church and preach. That is my concern. If it is well defined, it will provide a well guidance on how we can allow people to stand on the pulpit. Thank you.
You're just calling for some definition, right? Okay, thank you. And microphone number 1, Even Stefanova or Stefanova?
Stefanova, is it? The old wording very clearly makes impossible for individuals who are not members of the church to talk at the pulpit. It says strangers or any unauthorized persons. And I don't find this in the new wording. It says members who are under discipline or no longer members, but it's nothing. There is nothing about people who do not belong to the church. Is this on purpose?
Okay, thank you very much. I believe we have note of this. And we go to microphone number 5, Josiah Flores, Carolina Conference, North American Division.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My comment is just on the rationale and what the now phrasing reads. The rationale is talking about who may be invited to speak in church and addressing this confusion about credentials. However, the new paragraph seems to deal more with who has the authority to select the speakers rather than clarifying who's invited to speak. Because we now see that the wording of invited by the local church pastor, this is line 24, and then line 25, in consultation with the pastor, this wasn't in the original statement, yet it seems to be added separate from what the rationale is really stating. It's just a comment as to what rationale is saying and what we see in the new statement. I'm not sure if there's a discrepancy there that is meant to be there.
Thank you very much. And we move back to microphone number 1, Rita Meyer, Inter-European Division.
Yes, thank you. Just a little invitation. As we are speaking about guidelines by the conference, and as we have some union of churches, could we just include that somewhere also? That was just a little point.
Okay, did you get that one? Please repeat that. We were not hearing it clearly here.
Yes, I was in the text you refer to the guidelines of the conferences, but we have some union of churches, and I think we should add something here to clarify this.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Meyer. Going to microphone number 8, Armando Miranda Sr., General Conference, number 8.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It seemed to me that it's very difficult to find place for everything that is needed And it seemed to me that the way how it's written cover many things. For example, it says, in consultation with the pastor and also in harmony with conference guidelines. So that means that the local conference has some work to do in that direction, because there are some concerns with people who are affecting the church, just inviting those who are not appropriately, they are not confident to speak to the church. So it seems to me the way how it's written is appropriate and cover what we need.
Thank you very much, Pastor Miranda. We have two other speakers. These should probably be the last two. On microphone number 4, Musa Nzumbi, Northeast Tanzania Conference, East Central Africa Division.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I have just two concerns. Number one is the explanation about the conference, that in harmony with the guideline given by the conference. Some entities that we have, there are fields which have not been qualified to be conferences. Mm-hmm. So maybe we could add the word field so that it can apply to those entities which are not conference. But also, the issue of which they invited to the pulpit by the local church pastor, in harmony with the guideline given by the conference, the local elders or church board may also invite speakers in consultation with the pastor. Now, maybe here also we could expand the word pastor, maybe to be church pastor or district pastor, so that they cannot just consult with any pastor around, because we can have maybe chaplain around the church who don't hold the managerial power. Maybe we could have some retired pastors within the area, maybe who could not have some decision on the church. Maybe this word also, this title for the second sentence can be expanded so that it can be understood. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And it looks like someone else is added, so I hope no one else is being scanned. We want to allow for the scanned items to show up on the screen, but at this point there should be no more. And we will go to number 8, microphone number 8, Jeff Scoggins. Let's see, Jeff Scoggins, number 8, General Conference, and then we have one other.
Thank you. I dealt with this particular item often while I was pastoring, and I actually interpret this to be a little bit less restrictive than what we had before. So I actually appreciated the changes that were made, and I would support the way that it stands. It actually seems to give the pastor a little bit more flexibility, of course, in consultation with their local conference, mission, union of churches, whatever it may be.
Thank you very much. And finally, at microphone number 5, Gloria Ntshizeni, Trans-Orange Conference, Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
5. Okay.
Madam Chair, my issue is the implementation. Because you find a church inviting a person.
My sister, we cannot hear you up here. It's
Okay.
probably no fault of yours, but I noticed the microphone is just a little high for you. Perhaps you can just speak up. It should be okay. Okay. That's good. We don't want to, okay.
Thank you, Chair. My issue is the implementation of that part, because you'll find a church inviting a person, and that person you have been having a long time without seeing him or her. Boom, the person invited to come and preach. You don't even know if he or she has taken his or own membership to somewhere else. So I think this issue is affecting the local church. And then I think if we can get help on that part.
Thank you very much. It seems that the observations are somewhat balanced, and maybe, I don't want to say canceling each other out, but balancing each other. And I'm wondering if you want to go to the question on this one? Call the question, okay. Then we're going to go to our voting ballot, to election buddy. Please open.
All right, Madam Chair, we will be opening this here momentarily, so just the same process as before. Please make sure to hit submit, and it will be opened up here momentarily, Madam Chair.
Okay. And
it's open, Madam Chair. People should be able to vote.
Here we go. Okay, get those devices working. You have done so well, exceptionally well with Election Buddy this afternoon. Let's keep our great record going. And I do not see the motion on the screen, so I am not repeating it for you as I have tried to do.
This is,
Yes.
we're voting on, 401 on the main motion.
Yes?
This is the vote on the main motion.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the music.
Madam Chair, people are voting. We're up to 847.
Okay, very good. Excellent start. And we are voting on the motion to amend the Church Manual, Chapter 10, Services and Other Meetings, pages 120 to 121, unauthorized speakers, as found in the session agenda. Item number 401, remember there was a reference to 400 in its designation, and that is found on pages 53, 54, and 55, it appears. Maybe. Are we moving along? They're mounting up?
Madam Chair, we're moving along quite nicely. We just crossed over 1,200.
Excellent. Remember, we had a request to watch for the numbers in the queue and to allow a little additional time for those who are getting caught in the traffic jam, the electronic traffic jam.
And Madam Chair, we are keeping an eye on that. I will tell you from experience, we will be here until supper if we waited till every single person is not in the queue, because it does tend to refresh itself, but we do try to make sure that that the vast majority of people have been able to, well, everyone has had the ability to vote, that everyone has actually voted.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, I can tell you 1,370 have successfully completed that.
Excellent. It's okay. Okay, a few more minutes. Well, not a few more minutes. I guess several more seconds would be more accurate, right?
All right, Madam Chair, we are at 1,430.
14:30. How many in the queue?
There are still 58 in the queue. 49 in the queue.
Okay.
But again, we really can't wait till that goes down to zero, or
Yes.
we will be here.
Because the queue keeps mounting.
Right.
Too. Okay. It looks like we are just about ready to close it.
Very well, Madam Chair. We are at 14:59.
Oh, so close. But it's good. We're ready to close. It's good.
All right, Madam Chair, we're closing it, and it'll take just a couple of seconds for EB to display it on the screen there. 1,473 total ballots.
Excellent. All right. This item requires only simple majority, whereas the Constitution and bylaws items require 2/3, by the way of which we got well over 2/3 for each item. But with this, we have almost 91% in favor with 1,336 votes yes, and 137 votes no, which is just a little more than 9%. So this carries. Thank you very much. Is carried. We're going to the next item. How about that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The item number 402. As you can see on the screen, it's listed as 403-22. And I believe you, Madam Chair, will be very happy to see this because we are trying to facilitate the work of the school board. The rationale behind this recommendation is that it removes the confusing term union school board and replaces it with multi-constituent school board to be more consistent with the rest of the section. So as you can see on the screen, you have the item presented there. And let me show the next slide. Where the change is, you can see the word union be crossed out, and then you have multi-constituent. We don't want to have a confusion with the Union Board of Education or something like that. As I believe you understand, what we're trying to do here is to clarify when you have more than one church sponsoring the school, so we have a multi-constituent school board. I move, Mrs. Chair, that we accept this recommendation.
All right, is there a second? Thank you. I want to be sure I'm hearing a second actually and not my echo. Okay. Does multi-constituent translate neatly in most languages, or do you need to give a word of clarification?
At least the languages that I can read.
So Spanish and Portuguese, huh?
Would be easily translated.
Okay, okay. But we're just simply saying more than one constituent body serving the school, right?
But that will be up for those translating the church manual in their own language.
Yes, that's what we want
You're
to
right.
hear. Okay. Thank you so much. We have the motion. We have a second. And we are looking to see movement at the microphones. Okay, whenever I see someone move, I think they're coming to the microphones. There are none. So we're going to the question. Brother Todd, let's have Election Buddy up and going.
All right, Madam Chair. We are opening it up. It's good to see. We want discussion, but if we spend as much time on the last one as we did everyone, we're good. It'd be hard. So, Madam Chair, it's opening up here shortly.
Okay. Get those devices ready, and if you are in favor of, if you support, you are saying yes to this motion to amend the Church Manual, Chapter 8, Local Church Officers and Organizations, pages 90 to 92, Church School Board as found in the session agenda and explained here.
And Madam Chair, it is open for voting.
All right. And our music didn't start spontaneously. Are we starting strong?
Well, that's a good question. Hold on. It's just take me a second. We are starting strong. 997.
Excellent.
Refresh. 1,035. We're doing well, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay. Moving through nicely. I know I'm not a prophet, but I believe we're going to hear music in just a second. Oh, there it is.
The 1,280 people who voted can enjoy it while the rest of them continue to vote.
Are struggling. Okay. Are there many in the queue?
Not that many, only 90, so we need to give another minute and a half here, but
Yes.
we're doing well. 1,347.
Okay. We will allow the time on this one. Wow. We're down to 1 minute.
And Madam Chair, we're down to 1 minute, and we're up to 1,437.
Excellent. Please vote on the church manual item. We're winding down, nearing 25 seconds.
And we are getting up to 1,473 cast ballots.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get over 1,500.
I'd like to see that. Well, the time has expired. Where are we in terms of the queue?
Madam Chair, we're at 1,489.
And who's in the queue, or how many are in the queue?
About 40, hold on, I will tell you, 41.
Maybe if we refresh, we'll get that 11.
Let's see here. We are over 1,500 now, Madam
There we
Chair.
go. Okay, let's close it.
All right, we're closing it, and we will display it as soon as it's ready.
Okay, we have 99, a little more than 99% at 1,502 votes for yes and 9 no votes. So it is carried. Thank you. Brother Justin, maybe we can pick up a little steam with a few of these.
It looks like we
You
can
see if
move
we
faster
can do
now.
that? We're
Yeah.
ready. We're
Let's
ready to
then.
go.
All right, the next item is number 403, but you can see on the screen it's number 404-22 because of where did they come from. And this item is just to be consistent throughout the church manual. We've been using 2 ways to describe the baptismal ceremony or baptismal service. So the recommendation is for us to be consistent. The recommendation is to approve a directive to amend the church manual where appropriate by replacing baptismal ceremony with baptismal service. In areas, this is very important, in areas of the world where baptismal ceremony is preferred, due to differences in other languages, baptismal ceremony may be retained as long as the term is used consistently throughout the text of the church manual. In other words, Mrs. Chair, Madam Chair, we expect the church manual to be consistent in any language that is presented.
Yes.
So I move, Madam Chair, we accept this recommendation.
All right, is there a second for this motion? Second, we've heard. Scanning, looking for movement toward microphones. Seeing none, I think you're ready for the question on this. Let's go to election buddy.
All right, Madam Chair, it's being opened up as we speak.
Okay. Please get those devices working. Vote yes if you want to approve a directive to amend the church manual where appropriate by replacing baptismal ceremony with baptismal service.
Madam
In
Chair.
areas of the world where baptismal ceremony is preferred due to differences in other languages, baptismal ceremony may be retained as long as the term is used consistently throughout the text of the church manual. Yes.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No
It is
problem.
open, and people should be able to vote.
Excellent. Let's move on this one. Let's see if we can get those votes up quickly. And the music is beautiful again.
And Madam Chair, 991 people have voted.
Excellent. And that's with 2 minutes, 40 seconds left.
Hey, you guys are having too much fun down there. Madam Chair, with only a little over 30 seconds, we've got 1,204 votes.
This is excellent.
Madam Chair, with just under 2 minutes left, we have 1,386 votes. Still a number of
Excellent.
people trying to vote, so
Excellent. We can get there. And let's see here. I'm looking at the time. You know, it's amazing how time gets by when you're having fun. And I assume we were having fun this afternoon, right? We are right at 5:20. So we have only, well, we have less than 10 minutes because we will at least close with prayer. We want a minute or two for that. So we'll try to get maybe a couple more in if we can do them.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Madam Chair, with just under a minute left, we have 1,461 voters, so we should be able to get over our normal 1,500 threshold and
Great.
probably beat that.
All right. All right. 25 seconds.
1,478, Madam Chair.
We're going to get there.
Madam Chair, we are just about done. We are at 1,495. I know we can get 1,500.
The time is gone. When we hit 15, let's close it out.
It's over 1,500, Madam Chair.
Let's close it out.
All right, Madam Chair, it's being closed out and will display as soon as it's available.
Okay, here we are. 97.9%, almost 98%. Yes votes are 1,478. No votes 32. It carries. It is carried. Thank you. Brother Jerson, we have a point of order showing. Crystal Knight, Welsh Mission, Trans-European Division, on microphone number 2. What is your point of order?
Hello, Madam Chair. I just thought it would be item 404 rather than 403. It was 403 on the screen. but it's 404 in the agenda.
Okay, this is not a point of order, just a clarification.
Just a clarification, yes, please.
Okay, and it is confusing. It was explained earlier that we have the numbers that you see, the running numbers in your agenda, but then there's a reference number that's different, and that has to do with the processing number, where it began. And so we do want to make sure that those are accurate. Please double check, Brother Secretary. If there's a mistake, we will acknowledge that now, but I think that's the difference that was explained a little earlier. It is confusing when you look at that, right?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Crystal.
Yes, Madam Chair, you're totally right, and we apologize for that, but that's the way the church has been operating, and we prepared this presentation a long time ago before the agenda was done.
Yes.
And so this is why we had the item number, which the one that we're going to be talking now is 404. That's the item number 404. And you see on the screen, the reference number is 420-22.
Right. So the agenda number and the processing reference number are not the same number.
Exactly.
I think because they're both 400 series numbers is confusing.
Yeah, it happened to be, but
Yes.
and now we're going to see that they are distanced a little bit more
Yes.
as we move on in the agenda.
That helps.
But it's a good observation. Again, this is item number 404. And you see on the screen, the reference number is 420-22. It is just to be, the rationale behind this recommendation, Madam Chair, is that this amendment allows for electronic participation in church board meetings. This is actually something that most churches are already doing for a long time, and especially during the pandemic, this became a common practice. So we recommended to amend the Church Manual, Chapter 10, Service and Other Meetings, page 131. And this is the addition we have at the end of the paragraph that describes that each church should determine at a business meeting the number of board members who must be present to constitute a quorum at future meetings, period. Then it's the new amendment that we put at the end of the paragraph. Where allowed by local law, board members may participate in meetings by means of an electronic conference or similar communication by which all persons participating can communicate with each other at the same time. And participation by such means shall constitute presence in person at such a meeting. I move, Madam Chair.
All right, we have the motion before us. Is there a second? Yes. All right. I am going to trust my vision and go right to the question. All right, election buddy.
All right, Madam Chair, it is being opened up. Local churches can now experience the joy of Zoom like the rest of us.
That's it. To amend the Church Manual, Chapter 10, Services and Other Meetings, page 131, meetings as found in the session agenda. And you have that, and it has been explained.
It is open, Madam Chair. People should be able to vote now.
Okay, we are voting. And now I see on microphone number 1, Daniel Chunga, Southern Zambia Union Conference in the SID. We are voting, but we will hear you because it's possible that I didn't see that you were moving toward the microphone previously.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. My observation is that I have concern with the wording, where the local law. What if there's no local law? The implication is that you can't have that kind of a meeting. For this reason, I ask this august house to consider rephrasing that part of the wedding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, my brother. I believe the implication is where there is local law pertaining to this, but we'll turn to Secretary.
Yes, Madam Chair, that's exactly the purpose. If there is a prohibition of the local law for that to happen, of course, that would be a problem. But in the case there is no law, there wouldn't be any problem with those recommendations. That's the way I understand.
Yes. Okay.
Madam Chair, we are up to 1,175 votes so far.
All right, and we have a little more than a minute, 20 seconds. So we will go through this time. And it looks like we're about to cut it off. I'm going to ask Dr. Ginger Ketting-Weller to move toward the microphone closest to her, or microphone of her choice, to be prepared to give us our closing prayer this afternoon. I know, I couldn't see her. How are we doing?
Very well, Madam Chair, 1,352.
She's on number 8.
Okay. Dr. Ketting-Weller is on microphone number 8, I'm told. So we will be prepared to go to microphone 8 for our closing in just a few minutes.
Madam Chair, with just about 20 seconds left, we're just over 1,400. I think maybe some people have already headed towards the...
No, not this group. They have been hanging in here all afternoon. They're not going to end too soon. Come on, let's get some more of those up here.
All right, Madam Chair, with time expired, we are at 1,439 votes.
Did you hear that legal call, with time expired? How many? 14 what?
Well, we're now at 1,454.
Tell me again.
I can do this all night, Madam Chair. We're at 1,457.
Excellent. Okay, we are good. Are you ready for dinner?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Okay. All right.
All right, Madam Chair.
Let's take a look.
We are closing, and 1,466 have
there we go.
Made it in.
Well, we don't want 66, you know.
Well,
so we now have the results with 1,450 votes yes, almost 99%, and 16 votes no. So this one has carried as well. I think we're going to have to cut it off there because we are going to end on time. So I want to thank you for staying awake in the afternoon and giving this your best. Excellent. Let's stand together and praise God, and Dr. Ketting-Weller will give our closing prayer.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I'm surrounded by your lively children. When you created us, you filled us with life, and we certainly have given evidence this afternoon that we are a lively bunch, a bunch that works together to move your church forward through disagreements and refinements and agreements and collegiality and brother and sisterhood. I thank you for being here with us this afternoon. I thank you also for giving us the gift of Dr. Ella Simmons and her leadership during this session, and ask that you will continue to bless her. And now as we go, may our fellowship be something that glorifies your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I failed to introduce Dr. Ketting-Weller as the president of AIAS, the Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies in Philippines. Enjoy your meal and get a great rest for tomorrow. Good night.
No.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Tonight. I feel like I'm finished. We are going to start back at 7 p.m. this night. Thank you. Enjoy your meal.